Hello and welcome back to the virtual show. My name is Paul Davis.
And I'm Joe Longman.
And what do I normally say after that? I've forgotten.
That I got it right.
Oh yeah, there we go. Yeah, that's it.
I remember my own name.
Normally you do something. Yeah, you do something and then I normally comment on that. So good job, Joel. There we go. Thank you everyone for tuning in. It's always lovely to see you. Please let us know that you're watching live. Put your comments into... But let us know that you're watching. Write something in the comments.
It's
like
Monday
hello.
Morning, guys. It's clearly difficult.
Yeah, and obviously the working Sunday is starting to affect me a little bit.
There we go.
So now we did have a conversation potentially about how this could fall like downwards as doing sort of non-stop videos. So, yeah. But it's happening a little bit earlier than I thought.
Well, for you.
Yeah.
I remember my own name, so that's fine.
Yeah, no, you're doing absolutely well. Yeah, no, it's brilliant. We've got a lovely day lined up for you today.
Oh, so it's not a lovely day weather-wise, is it?
No, but thankfully you can stay in the cozy. I'm struggling today.
In the warmth of your own home, drinking coffee or tea or cocoa or hot chocolate.
And watch the virtual show that we've got ready for you.
Us two. Not get it right.
So lovely day lined up for you. In a second, we'll be introducing Tim from fotospeed, who'll be doing some different types of papers, which is going to be super interesting.
Very important, isn't it?
Yeah. No,
we've had a lot of people come in and ask about paper types. Yeah, our new printers, and they're like, "Oh, I'm not sure whether this will look good or that'll look good." So,
and what images fit the best for it.
Hopefully, Tim, fount of all knowledge, will be able to help with your paper choices.
Yeah, indeed. And then later on today, we've got Andy coming in, giving us some demonstrations on the Peak design system,
including the new tripod.
Yep.
Well, it's not that new now,
but it's still a lovely tripod and actually been mentioned a couple of times in the comments already this show. So we'll be very much looking forward to going through that with him. So you can find all of the speakers that we've got on the virtual show by going to our website, which is cambrianphoto.co.uk, clicking on the guest speakers and seeing all the names there. You can rewatch any of the live videos that we've already done, or you can schedule reminders for all the live videos coming up. So just check it out.
Little button.
Click the little button. Yeah, that's all
or
you
on
need to do.
YouTube, click a bell.
Yeah.
Ding-a-ling.
Is it still a...
I hope so.
Still a bell.
Subscribe.
Hopefully.
Likey.
Indeed. So yeah, it would be a good time to
got some comments.
We'll quickly go through some of the comments.
Morning, Tracy, and morning, Yvonne. Yeah, no worries. And she says she'll have to listen later on, catch up. But good subject. And Uncle Ray says, morning, you two. Tier 3 in the West Midlands, so they lock down. Keep up the good work. Sigma Sam tomorrow. Yes. Yeah, indeed. Is that his official name now? Sigma Sam.
Sigma Sam.
That sounds like a cartoon character. Yeah. A great one.
It does, actually. Yeah, I think it'd be a good time to introduce Tim from fotospeed.
Here we go.
Let's all give a big hello to Tim. Hi, Tim.
Make sure you put clapping emojis in the comments, guys.
Want to see lots of emojis.
Hello, everyone.
Good to see you again, Tim. So, and thank you for supporting our show again. So we had you back in May. You were talking through some color calibration on ICT profiles and workflow, and almost this is an extension or sort of going forward from there and picking the different types of papers that are available.
Yes, yeah. So we're just going to go through what I think about, like my personal kind of opinion, what I think about when I'm looking at paper choice as well, because it is such a personal thing. But I'm going to go through some images as well, talk about some papers, and just see if anything rings a bell with anyone, basically. So,
Oh, that's brilliant. Well, we'll let you crack on, Tim.
Cool.
Obviously, if anyone's got any questions, please post them into the comments and we can get to them at the end. So, but for now, over to Tim.
Here we go.
Okay, so right. First of all, what I'm going to, like I said, today what I'm going to talk about is how we choose the right paper, choosing the right paper for an image. Now, this can be a very personal personal choice as well. However, there are a couple of little things you could look out for, which I'm going to talk through today and help you to make this decision. First of all, though, if anybody doesn't know me or who I am, I'm Tim Jones. I am the technical manager here at fotospeed. And we sell everything, well, basically apart from cameras, really. We're mainly in the print side, so we do a lot of printers and paper choice as well. So we sell a lot of paper and things, and inkjet printing as well for all photography needs, effectively. I've been with fotospeed about 3 years. Before that, I was a freelance photographer for about 15 years, and then also a digital retoucher within that time as well. And I'm also currently the lead lecturer on the Photospeed Academy as well, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But that's kind of a little bit of who I am, a little bit of crash course. But I imagine a few of you probably know me. And if you get any printing problems or anything like that, and you're using our papers or anything like that, usually if you phone us for help, it's usually me you get through. Okay. So let me just start by talking a little bit about what we need to get in line first. Before we even look at paper, we need to look at how we're set up. So we need to get each of these 3 things in place, which I talked about back in May, actually, about how we get all these aligned with profiles and calibrations on our screen and things. So everything starts in the camera, and then we edit in our computer, so we make everything look great on the screen. And at that point, we will click the print button and everything will go to the printer. It's at this point we can start thinking about paper choice. But we do have to get those custom profiles working. That is the key. We need to get printing profiles working so everything comes out as we expect it to. And we also need to get this monitor calibration as well. So we've got those profiles working together from the camera through the screen to the printer as well. So all the colors come out as we expect them to be, and we're not getting any horrible green casts. So those are the things we need to get. I call them the 3 foundations. We need to get it right in the camera, the screen, and the printer to get them right to start with. Okay. But today we're going to be talking about that final bit, which is almost the 4th foundation, which is the paper choice, should we say. Okay. So there's a couple, I put a few little thinking points up here about what we need to think about when we're thinking about or choosing a paper, should I say. Now, do we want it to be gloss, luster, or pearl, or a semi-gloss, or a matte paper? Now, as I go through the images in a bit, I will talk about how we could come to that answer and what kind of paper type we're going to do. I mean, some people love gloss prints, so some of those people will just print on gloss, which is absolutely fine. Other people will love luster prints or semi-gloss prints, and other people will just stick to matte, and absolutely fine. However, most of us will probably go between the 3 of them and just kind of try and make a choice based on the actual image and what that's like. But we will talk through that in a bit as well. Also, the white point of the paper has a massive impact on how we're going to choose a paper for a certain image as well. I will go on to talk about the tone of an image, should we say, and how the white point can affect that as well. The 3rd point I fit here that we need to think about is also the feel of the paper. So when we're actually touching paper, is it a smooth feel or is it a textured feel as well? So we'll talk through how I'd go about thinking about if I'm going to choose a smooth paper or a textured feel as well. Also, within the feel of the paper, you've also got what the paper's made of as well. So if it's cotton or wood pulp or alpha cellulose kind of type of paper, or resin-based paper like a luster as well. For me, it's the cotton papers. They just feel beautiful. However, if you're putting that in a frame or a mount and putting it behind glass or something, it's not so, the actual feel in your fingers isn't really that vital, but the smooth or textured can be. Okay, So let's start by looking at the white point here. I apologize for the photography on this slide, but I hope you can see I've put a range of our papers down on here. We've got kind of a luster in the middle here as a white paper, quite a high white. Then I think we've got like the platinum cotton, platinum etching that are quite a warm paper. And we've got kind of this here, which is the gloss art fiber, I believe, which is a little bit more in between, but still not as white as our luster paper here. And this bottom one here, I believe, is like a high white smooth type of paper as well. So another matte paper in here. But you can see they've all got a slightly different white base to them, or white point to the papers as well. So this is going to affect our pictures as well. So when you have a custom profile made, or you're using a profile that you know is quite neutral, but still the white point of the paper can also affect how that is going to come out. And it can also change contrast and things as well, which I will talk about now. Okay, so what do I think about when I'm starting to choose a paper for an image? Now, I've picked some images out and just put them up here. Some of them are stock images like this one here, but some of them are also from our FS Print Monday competition as well, which are towards the end. And I will, if they are from, I will credit the photographer as well. So this one here, kind of a nice picture of the tree going up here. Now I've picked this one because we've got this lovely blue in the sky and we've got this green here. Bit of an autumn picture, I believe. So how would I go about choosing a paper for this? Now, when I think about a paper choice, I look at the tone of the image and the contrast of the image and the color of the image. I don't necessarily think about subject. I probably think about subject a tiny bit, say like 5%. But that usually if it's a portrait or a landscape or wildlife or something like that. But as this is a picture of a tree, it's kind of quite, I almost say quite generic. So we could go either way on this picture. Now, because the color is quite strong in this image, and we've got a lovely blue going on in the sky, so the tone of the image is quite punchy, should we say, and the contrast is quite punchy as well. I would probably start to look for a high white point to the paper as well. So we can hold this color in the sky and also hold the detail in these branches a little bit as well. I think if we used an off-white paper, which would be completely acceptable, like I said, it's a completely personal choice. However, we would lose a little bit of the vibrance, I think, in the sky up here. And the green, because of the off-white, the green might come a little bit too much. It might come up a little bit because of the yellow in the green. So I would probably go for a high white point of paper. Now, if we go for a gloss or a luster or a matte paper, I mean, I think we could go either way on here. To me, this would say brighter, which is one of our fine art glossy range of papers. But I say it's glossy, it's more of like a dark cream gloss, I call it. So it's a bit more like a semi-gloss, kind of sits in between gloss and semi-gloss. So it's a really nice paper. It's not too much on there. However, it's quite a high white point of paper. And also because it's more of a semi-gloss type of paper, it would really pick out the detail in the tree here as well. One thing that happens on a matte paper, although we can get a pretty good rendition of color and things like that, on matte papers, what tends to happen, sometimes we have to work at it a little bit harder to try and get this effect to go. But the detail in the tree here could, I'm not saying it does every time, but it could just start to, I want to say soften, but that's probably the wrong word. It's not going to go out of focus. It's not going to be any less sharp, but it will just kind of, it kind of just come down and come into the picture a little bit more muted and things, which can look beautiful on certain pictures. However, in this one, I think because of the contrast in the tree here, I would like it just to stand out a little bit more. So I would probably go for, say, Platinum Baryta, which is one of our papers, and I'd say a platinum gloss art fiber as well. Quite a quite a high white point to the paper, just to pick out this color and pick out those that contrast to the paper as well for us. Okay. Now, I talked a little bit about subject and how, to me, subject is quite almost a little bit of a small part to the paper choice. Now, I normally look at tone and contrast, color and things like that. However, we do have to be aware of subject as well, I think. Mainly down to, like I said, the feel of the papers as well. So if we go for a smooth paper or a textured paper, the general rule is with portraiture is to stay away from the textured papers, generally because we want a nice smooth effect to the skin in general. So if you have a textured paper like a cotton etching or something like that, like one of our papers we do, which is very heavily textured, it will make the skin look all mottled and things. So we do need to just be aware of that effect happening. But a subtle texture sometimes can work quite well. When I was photographing weddings, I used to print on a platinum etching paper or the Harlemüller photo rag paper, which has a very subtle texture to it. And it worked really well with wedding dresses and things like that, and didn't affect the skin too much, so you could get away with it. But the real heavy etching papers or watercolor papers, kind of that effect, that stuppily effect, can really affect the skin in here. For this one here, I would, because we've got this white in the background, I would kind of go for a higher white point of paper as well. And we've got the skin tone here. However, because it's quite a muted palette that we've got here, it's not really bright. The skin's quite toned as well in here. It's kind of that kind of, well, I'd almost say pastel-y, but it's not quite pastel-y, but it's kind of a muted tone in this picture. I would probably look at a matte paper, and I'd probably go for a higher white point of that. So perhaps the NST Bright White in our range, which is a cotton paper, and very high white point to it as well. Looks beautiful on portraiture as well. If we wanted to go down the luster route, that's absolutely fine. Probably, well, our PF luster would look fantastic with it, but also our platinum, sorry, our matte ultra would look great as well if we wanted to look at something in our photo range of matte papers. And also the Baryta would look great on this as well. Baryta kind of does everything, which is fantastic on that semi-gloss kind of feel for us. Okay, so when we've got really bright colors going on, a little bit like that first image, really, we kind of need a paper that is going to bring this color out. It's not going to mute any of these colors again, so you need a high white point. So in this picture we could go matte or semi-gloss in here. So I think we could go either with an NST Bright White, a platinum matte, something with a high white point if we were going down the matte paper route, or PF luster, photo smooth pearls would look absolutely fantastic. I think a matte ultra would do this really nicely as well, because it's just that kind of image. We've got this lovely yellow here and this blue here, and we could really make this stand off the page as well. So I think quite a smooth paper for this as well. I wouldn't use a textured paper so much, just because we've got this nice smooth background going down here, and I wouldn't really want to add any texture into this as well, and I don't think it would really complement the image at all. Okay, so now I'm going to talk a little bit about black and white and what I look for when I'm looking at black and white prints. Now this is a snow scene, quite stark, quite minimalist, should we say. Not a lot going on in here. Now, because we've got the white of the snow, we're going to pick a high white point to the paper as well. And I think for this picture as well, I would go for matte all day, just because we don't want, I think, a sheen off the paper which is another thing you can get on a semi-gloss or gloss paper. A little bit of sheen coming off the lights or the window when you're looking at it would distract from this scene. So it's another thing to think about when you're printing as well, is the actual lighting that you're going to be viewing the print in. Whereas a matte paper, it won't reflect any light, so it will be completely flat. You won't get that sheen off. So I would start to just look at predominantly matte papers. I think this would look amazing on a platinum matte, which is a completely smooth paper, really high white point, really does black and whites really well. Another paper that would work really well is also a smooth cotton on this as well, which is 100% cotton paper, 300 gram, and it would just feel and look great as well on that. We'd probably take it, the smooth cotton has a tendency to kind of suck the contrast a little bit, so we might need to put a little bit of contrast in the tree here, or a little bit more of a black point and highlights and shadows and things, just to kind of bring that up a little bit when we're printing on that paper, but it would look stunning on either of those as well. Okay. Now, I've got two pictures of dancers here. Now, one is quite a subtle tone in here, and one is quite a contrast kind of pop, shall we say, to the image as well. Quite a bit more contrast in here. Okay. So let's talk about this first one to start with. So with this first one, we've got a lovely deep black at the back here, and we've got a lovely sheen to this floor as well, which is a key to what I might be looking at here. Also, we've got quite a bit of contrast, and we have it kind of really stands out. There's quite a lot of depth in the picture, kind of tone-wise and things. So for me, the standout part would be the big black background here, the really smooth black background. Also, this reflection in the floor and this kind of sheen to the floor, which would make me point towards a gloss or a kind of a semi-gloss paper. So I think for this one, I would probably look at either in our photo range, kind of a PF Luster or Photo Smooth Pearl, or in our fine art range, we definitely look at that brighter again, keeps cropping up, or our Platinum Gloss Art Fiber as well. Now, our Platinum Gloss Art Fiber does have a very, very, very subtle little bit of texture in it. I think it reminds me of an Agfa darkroom paper, fiber-based darkroom paper. No, probably not as should we say glossy as those, but just more of a muted semi-gloss, which just works really well on things and feels great. And I think that would be, or that would make this look absolutely fantastic. And it's just that floory, that sheen in the floor, we could just bring it up in there. But also, I think we could go for a matte paper in here. I would probably go for a really kind of nice smooth paper as well. I would go for something like a platinum matte, really nice and smooth, high white point as well, so we can get the whites and that deep black at the back there. I probably wouldn't go for a cotton-based paper because it might just suck this back black a little bit too much for me. But that is not a kind of thing. That's not a statement to say don't use a cotton-based paper. It might, for me, it might just do that. So I probably stick to alpha cellulose paper here, or wood pulp paper, just because it's going to hold that black a little bit better for me. Now, moving on to the second image here, same dancer here. Now, this is a very different image in tone. We haven't really got, I was going to say, we haven't really got, apart from underneath the trolley here, is that right? The part of the stage here, we haven't really got a deep black. We've got a little bit in her outfit here, but we are quite kind of muted in the greys as well. We haven't got loads of contrast in here. We've got enough, very subtly, just to bring the picture to life a little bit, but it's a very kind of subtle picture in tone-wise. Also, we've got the grain here as well. I don't know if that grain was actually shot on film or it's added later. However, it is quite a subtle kind of effect to it as well. And this image would make me, although it's black and white, it would make me point towards an off-white paper, a warmer type of paper, just because of the nature of what kind of the tone in the image. It's not as strong kind of contrast-wise. It's still a strong image, but in tone, when we're talking about the tone of the image, it's a bit softer. It's a little bit kind of not as kind of vibrant, shall we say. So for me, I would start to look at like a natural soft textured, just a little bit off white, very smooth paper. Or I think my choice for this image would be the platinum etching, with that little bit of texture in there, which would bring out this grain or this noise that's in the image. And also it would just suit the image really nicely. And like I said, it's just got that tiny little bit of texture, but because we've got that grain in the image, it wouldn't affect the skin tones too much, but it would also really bring out the skirt here as well, and just the tone in the image and look great, I think. So that's where we can use, say, if there's a little bit of texture in the image as well, we can kind of mirror that within the paper a little bit. I wouldn't go any further texture-wise than, say, a platinum etching. I wouldn't go to a natural textured or a really heavy textured paper, because it would just overpower the image as well. We want something quite subtle. So I would definitely look at matte papers for this as well, because I haven't really got that sheen like I did on the last one to bring in kind of the image here. Right. Let's have a look a little bit about some wildlife here, and we'll come back to a wilder picture as well. Okay. So this image is very strong in the sense that we have quite a lot of contrast going on. We have a really strong black background. So for me, this would be, say, a brighter all day. Just that quite nice white point to the image, very high contrast as well. So we could really start to bring out these parts of the image. Also, I should say that we could also look at one of our papers called a legacy gloss as well. Now, it does have a warmer tone to the paper as well. It is quite a warm paper. However, what it does do, and it does wildlife pictures really well, and tone and kind of the contrast, it makes color pop really well. So we developed it kind of as a black and white paper. However, we found that it does really work in really strong kind of contrast colors as well, fantastically. And I think it would really emphasize the yellow of the beak here and the eye in here as well. But what it may do is it might just add a little bit of warmth to the feathers here. So that would be kind of a choice we would have to make, that we really want this to stand out and really make it pop. However, we might just get a little bit of warmth. So there's a little bit of yellow in here. It might just affect that in that kind of sense there. So we just have to have a think about that. But I think it would look great in either. Okay. Now, this is one of our FS Print Monday winners, which was Nick Hodson, I believe. Now, I printed this the other day, and I looked at it and thought, what kind of paper would I want on this? And I instantly thought about an etching paper like the platinum etching, but I actually changed my mind. Now, we've got quite a lot of depth going on in this picture here as well. And we've got kind of a lot of contrast going on, and we've got a lot of contrast, and we've got kind of this fading off into the distance. So it's a lovely picture and a lovely kind of view going off into the distance. Now, I chose a brighter for this paper. The reason being, I did look at, like I said, I did look at the platinum etching, and I did look at the NST bright white as well for this. But I chose the brighter just because I wanted to hold these contrasts and this these black points within the image as well, and this depth as well. I found when I printed it on the platinum etching, I did lose a little bit of this depth in the image, and that's what a matte paper can do, like a cotton-based paper or smooth cotton or something. It can just mute and just bring down that contrast a little bit. However, what we need to do at that point is we just need to increase that contrast just slightly in the image just to create that depth. You've probably all seen Joe Cornish's pictures. He predominantly prints on the smooth cotton and the platinum cotton of ours. So he works very well with depth, and he knows that he just needs to put in that little bit of extra contrast in there as well. But I also didn't want to, when I put in a little bit of extra contrast, I did find I lost a little bit of the shadows just at the top in the peaks here. So I just wanted to hold that without blocking anything. And the Brighter did that fantastically for me. Okay, this is another winner from a couple of weeks ago. Fantastic image from Amar Snud. So this one, I was a little bit blown away by this, to be honest, because it's just a lovely image. Now, I printed this on smooth cotton. Now, I found this worked really well. I didn't want to go for like a Brighter or a platinum gloss art fiber or kind of anything like that. When we print our FS Print Monday winners, we do have to stick to our fine art range of papers. So I don't go into the photo ranges when I'm looking at these. But I wanted something, because it's quite a muted palette. We've got kind of an orange, a greeny kind of yellowy, and then obviously the green of the grass, things like that. So there's not masses is going on. We've got quite a little detail in the foreground, but we've got it's kind of a muted, soft focus on the tree as well. But I wanted something that would hold a little bit of this in the foreground, but also hold the kind of hold that color in the tree as well. And I felt the smooth cotton would do this really well, and it just had that lovely smooth feel to the paper as well. I wouldn't look at, again, I probably wouldn't look at a textured paper, because we've got quite a lot of this white up here, or the fog in the background is quite a smooth kind of, there's nothing really going on in there. There's no real detail, should we say, going on in there. So a textured paper would add texture to this part of the image up the top here in the top part of the image. So I really would probably stay away from a texture, because that would detract from the focus. And this is where I probably look at a little bit of subject in here as well and what was going on. So I think the smooth cotton worked really well as a matte paper. It's 100% cotton, so it just kind of sucked everything down very, very slightly, should we say. But worked really well. I didn't really have to do a lot to make this really stand out and make this really look great in there. I don't think I even touched it. I just printed it as is, and it just came out beautiful. Okay, let's have a look at something a little bit more abstract now. So I'm just going to try and cover all kind of paper choices for all kind of subjects, really. This is where textured paper can really work and really come into its own. Something like this, a bit of ICM going on in here, I think. So we would look at this and start to think about kind of a texture in here, and also the tone of the image as well. So we'd start looking at our textured range. So I think the platinum etching, I would say, probably isn't enough textured. So I would probably stay away from that one. The other two papers I would probably look at are our NST, which would work really well. Sorry, not NST, our NT, the natural texture, would work really well. But the paper I would use would be our cotton etching, which would have a little bit higher white point than the natural textured, but also just a very subtle, it's a little bit subtler texture to it, and it would just really emphasize these lines very well. And kind of this part, it's definitely this part in the top right as well. I've just noticed kind of those lines up there as well. Just kind of, it would just work really well on it and bring a little bit of texture to this and really complement the image. I think if we printed it on a smoother paper, we might just lose a little bit of that effect, I think. And it reminds me of those kind of impressionist paintings as well, which are kind of on a, they're not smooth, they're kind of a bit rough in the paint and things is what they're using, a bit of texture they've added in the paints and things. Okay, so this is a bit of a butterfly here. Now, by Richard Fox, this picture is, as you can see down the bottom here, from one of our FS Print Monday winners. And I wanted to just pick this because it's such a beautiful capture as well, to be honest. And how we would print this. We could also go both ways on matte or gloss or semi-gloss, etc., on how we would kind of print this. We got quite you're kind of spoiled, shall I say, we're kind of spoiled for choice and what we could do here. We could go for a warmer type paper, a bit like the Legacy, which is a semi-gloss kind of paper or glossy kind of paper. I would go the matte route, and it will work really well on a natural soft textured, or even the natural soft textured bright white as well. I'd probably go for a little bit of warmer tone, just because we've got the green in the background. Of paper, kind of a warmer type of paper. Look amazing on the platinum etching, but I would probably, I'd have to think, I can't remember what I printed it on now. It's probably the platinum etching, to be honest, or the NST bright white. Those are the two I would look at as well. One's going to have a little bit whiter, so if we want, because it's quite defined with the depth of field as well, I think that's going to stand, the butterfly's going to stand out no matter what. So I think I'd probably go for the natural soft textured and have a look at that, just to kind of bring that out a little bit. Okay. The other thing I just wanted to quickly say is also when we're viewing prints, we have to view them in the right light source as well. I normally talk about this in my colour management talk, but I think when we're talking about paper choice and white points of paper as well, how you view your prints and the light you're viewing your prints in can be really important as well. Always try and take your prints to the window if you can, on perhaps an overcast day, perhaps, just to get that light. Try not to look at them under tungsten light or fluorescent tubes, as they can really affect how the picture will look as well. Always let your prints dry as well, fully down, especially on matte papers, because that can really affect how colours look and how contrast can look as well. Viewing wise, we don't need a big viewing light like Joe Cornish here on the left. We can get a little desktop light that I'm sure you can get from Cambrian as well. I'm sure we do. Which is a little Kaiser viewing light, and you can view your prints under this light as well. Now, I have said we do our Photospeed Academy as well. So if you wanted to join me for a day of printing and things like that, just use this code down here. I've promised this will be very quick because I know this is Cambrian's event. We don't want to but we offer all the classes listed here as well, either in group sessions or one-on-one sessions as well. So if you wanted anything, if you wanted to inquire about that, either check out our website or just drop us a call. Okay. Now, was there any questions at all? I think I've kind of gone through those and gone through some prints and things like that, but I just wondered if there was. So, I've got just having a look at the comments here. So I've got a recommendation for framing from Liz here. What is your recommendation for framing fine art prints? Glass or no glass?
That's a very interesting question, that, isn't it?
Yes, if you're framing, I would go for glass, but non-reflective museum fine art glass. Hugely expensive, but very worth it. Really worth it, I think. But have a look at different types of mounting as well, and instead of framing and things as well. I've in my personal exhibitions, I've had things mounted on aluminium. I've gone for MDF. I've kind of done the lot, and framed as well. So I've kind of gone full circle. But I always go for non-reflective. I think museum glass, isn't it? If you call it, I'm sure they do. Or is it fine? I can't remember. But I'd have to ask John, our framer. So yes.
With the museum glass as well, I believe you get the UV protection with it as well, which is
filter through it as well. Yeah, so you'd protect your prints as well from fading.
Yeah. No, that's brilliant. I mean, you could potentially achieve a really sort of old school look, because when things like canvases used to be framed, generally canvases were framed sort of without any glass in. And I think you would, if you picked like a nice textured paper, maybe that would look quite nice without glass.
Yeah, it would, like a floating mount within a frame.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
So you get lots of once again, it all comes down to sort of personal preference, doesn't it? And things like that. And there's the limitations of the permutations that you can go through on what you frame or what you print on is completely a personal choice, and what you want to achieve. So
I always say look at 4 or 5 papers and learn to print on those, and then you kind of, because our range is 30 odd different papers, 30 plus different papers. You want boxes of those. Although I do have boxes all here at home, which my wife obviously is very happy about. But I would usually, for home, I'd kind of pick an everyday paper like a luster or gloss or something like that, and then a fine art gloss, a fine art matte, smooth, and a matte textured as well. Kind of look around those kind of papers to really kind of you just look around those kind of marks and things as well. So
we had a very interesting question in the shop the other day, which I think would be a good chance to bring up here as well. So we had a customer come in, and they were potentially looking at printing a selection of images. I can't remember what it's for, whether it's for an exhibition or something. Would you find sort of picking different paper types in a selection, or would you tend to sort of keep it the same? And if we were keeping it the same, how would you sort of decide on what paper would be the best for the whole selection, as it were?
What a good question.
It was a good question. I wanted to bring it up.
Yeah, no. For me, I would keep the papers all uniform, the same.
Yeah.
Just so we could have that uniform as well within it.
Yeah.
It's almost a little bit like I was always taught when you're editing, say you're editing for a book or exhibition. The rules are a little bit broken now, but I was always kind of taught you keep it either square or rectangle or something like that. It's kind of, you kind of don't mix. However, those rules have been broken in like the contemporary market and things like that, especially by Japanese photographers. They kind of compare everything, kind of put everything together, but it has to be done in a very nice way. Yeah. I would try and uniform the paper type as well. I think if we were going from a smooth to a textured or backwards and forwards, I think it would, going to get a bit arty now, but I think it would probably confuse the viewer a little bit in what's going on in perception. And I think there'd have to be a reason for you doing that.
Yeah.
I
think also as well, I mean, if you were doing a section of prints, generally what you might find is that they will probably all have a similar look anyway. So, just going back to how you mentioned that you would sort of edit them maybe in a similar way. So hopefully you'd come to a natural conclusion on the paper type that you'd want to use.
I would probably, Obviously I haven't seen the set or anything like that.
No,
I
no,
would
no.
probably question. I would probably question if the photographs should be a set together if they were looking at different paper types. Perhaps.
Yeah. No, that's
it depends on what you're doing. It could be for a course, and you've got separate images for a certain task, and that would be where you'd look at different paper types. Excuse me. But if it was as a panel or something like that, I would expect them to be on the same papers.
Yeah. It's funny you say that, because a while back we had an exhibition here and it was like university work.
Yeah.
And there was very clear projects. So some were on very textured paper because of the type of shots.
Yeah.
Because it needed that texture to kind of bring the image alive almost. And then others were kind of studio work. So having a smoother paper made a lot of sense for sure.
Yeah. No, it's brilliant.
As long as they're grouped in sections, I think we're fine. But
yeah,
we digress into exhibition works. But yes.
No, we certainly do. We like digressing here.
Tangents.
Mark Rees just asked me about environmental impacts of papers and things like that. Now, bit of a tricky one for us. However, all our papers are FSC certified, so they're all from sustainable sources from our manufacturer. Now, as Fotospeed, we are not FSC certified as a company. So we can't officially say that the papers come from sustainable sources. However, our manufacturers and mills can, but we can't say that because we're not certified and things like that. But that is our advice, should we say. We can't officially say that we are, and I can't officially say that the papers are from sustainable sources. However, our manufacturers can. That makes sense. I made it clear. I'm not libeling myself or anything.
We'll get an email from Tim. You better take that video down.
Yeah, and I think it's ever important as well in this sort of day and age that especially the people that sort of the manufacturers that make the paper, they are making sure that they're getting their sources from renewable places as well. So,
and equally disposing of paper and drinks and stuff in a responsible way is part of that workflow, isn't it?
Yeah, because it's a circle, isn't it?
Sorry. Huh? I was going to say I put all the paper in my recycling box from here, all the test charts and things that I'm kind of after a while cycled through. And I recycle it all. They take it every week, so I'm hoping it's going to be recycled. It's all should be.
If I'm honest, photographers printing probably isn't the biggest user of paper in a way that's wasteful, is it?
No.
So, and I think you can only try and do as well as possible. And you obviously have sourced all of your papers from mills and manufacturers that are FSC and things like that.
Yeah, no, definitely.
And I think over time it'll be even better as well in terms of all aspects of the process.
And I think as well that ourselves can have a big impact as well. So making sure that we have things calibrated properly in the right way.
Just wastage that.
Yeah, exactly. So not only are you saving money in the long run, so if you get everything sort of calibrated, so what Tim referred to as the sort of the free foundations before, having your system sort of calibrated and knowing what you're going to get is ultimately going to save you a little bit of money in the long run, but makes it a little bit more eco-friendly as well, which is always nice.
Win-win.
Yeah. So a great question, by the way, from Mark. Is it? I haven't got my glasses on. Yeah. So
binoculars.
Yeah,
we sell those.
I get them all. My glasses.
Yeah, that's true.
No, thanks for that question, Mark. It's a brilliant question to bring up, especially in these times as well. So thank you very much for that. And we've also had Liz saying thank you to for the advice on the framing as well. So yeah, no, that's absolutely brilliant.
It's very cool. I'm just trying to think. I had a lot of questions.
But the thing is, Tim's done a lot of the answering actually in the talk as well. So we had a couple of questions sort of lined up in our heads, and Tim sort of like hit every one very nicely there as well. So,
Anne just asked a question. Anne Jays, how complicated is calibrating the printer paper for technophobes? Not very difficult. It's fine. I've done videos on YouTube, on our YouTube channel, for calibrating everything, getting everything sorted. Also, I've got written instructions, which I've just rewritten as well, making them even more, hopefully, even more kind of easy to use. And obviously, the calibration side of it and the profiling side of it is also a free service we offer from fotospeed. So if you buy a box of paper from Cambrian, then you can give me a call and we can help you through that process and get you all profiled and things like that. I also have the facility through Zoom and things we can set up a profiling session and have a chat, and we can share screens and things like that and take you through it as well, just to get you all set up, because I want you printing basically. And I want you printing the best pictures as well, because then you get using more paper, so it's good.
Getting the calibration done by you guys is so easy and makes life much easier, especially if you want to know it's like bob on and not like we sell calibrators, but you can buy a screen calibrator and then a screen calibrator and printer calibrator all built into one. But it's a lot cheaper to just buy the screen calibrator. Use that, make sure your screen at home is correct, and then you know that Tim's is going to be bob on. And he can do your test sheets.
And if you're mad into printing, like ourselves here, I mean, what we did is we bought the test pack, and we basically did all the swatches on the test pack on our Canon 1000 and on our 4100 that we use in store, and we just sent them off to Tim and he calibrated them all up for us. So if you need all the calibrations doing, then we do sell test packs as well that you can get all the calibration done on, and then you know that you've got everything all ready to go. So,
all the papers, all the profiles.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Yeah, the test packs are a great way to look at all the papers as well, and just go through them and think, oh, which one should I choose and things. Yeah, so.
Yeah, no, that's brilliant. Yeah, I do like how the test packs are available.
So lockdown in printing. Printing in lockdown, fantastic. Yeah.
There's been a lot of
that. There has been, and then we got a queue of people coming in when we opened for those that didn't have printers. And then we bought our Thor, our Pro 4100.
Yeah.
And that was an interesting process, getting used to that big beastie.
Yeah.
The shots that come out of that are just fantastic.
Yeah. It's funny how you mentioned about drying paper as well. I mean, we'll just put an added sort of note on that as well.
We learned the hard way.
Because if any of us know, myself and Joel, we can be a bit impatient, can't we?
Don't know what you mean.
Yeah. So we're very excited about the new printer coming in, and especially with like the textured papers and the matte papers, just let them dry, because they can mark and scratch. Pull them off the printer straight away and start going.
Especially if you stack them.
Yeah,
if you stack them, well, they can leave a bit of a mark on the back of the other one.
Yeah, it just
rolls. Also, highly recommend, if you're using matte papers, just give them a quick spray. This is the Harlemula protective spray, but we do our own as well, which is just as good. But you just give it a quick spray, and that just protects the print from any rubbing off and things. So.
Note to self: will remember to buy a shed load of that protective spray.
That's a really good tip, that actually. So I think all of our printers just spray on them now.
Yeah, I did some of mine this morning actually, so that's why I've got it here. But it's great, and we do our own as well. So
your house must look like an art gallery.
It does at the minute. I'm not. We got a house view. I'm trying to sell a house at the minute, so I've had to put everything away. But Yeah, got the new Canon printers as well to review as well, which is great. So there's another 2 boxes and
300 or 200.
Both. So yeah.
Yeah.
You don't need to buy wallpaper in your house anymore.
I could very much go on the tandem about that new Pro 300 printer, actually. So I think we'll have to save that for another video.
Yeah, definitely.
Because that is.
Maybe we should chat next time. About the because they're really good printers, especially for the money.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully you'll find that out to be true.
No, I've done the 300. I had to go with the figure. I think it's great. It's it's just like the Pro 1000, really. It's just that. It's the only niggle I have is the small ink cartridges, but apart from that, it's a fantastic printer.
Agreed. Definitely. Well, it's brilliant having you on, Tim. It's always wonderful to have you, and it'd be great to have you on again at some point as well. So maybe we can go, like Joel said, a little bit more into the printers. So absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, definitely. It's fantastic.
Cool. So we'll drop you off the screen and we'll speak to you in a moment.
Well, thank you for having me. Thank you.
That's brilliant.
See you in a minute.
Thanks
Cheers,
a lot.
Thank you. Bye.
So we keep learning from these ourselves, Joel. So
that's why we do it, really.
Yeah. We pretend that we're, trying to deliver
great,
brilliant content
for you guys,
but really we're just being selfish and want all these amazing speakers to come on and learn ourselves. So yes,
makes sense.
Very interesting, and is the added part. So we had one in May. You can actually go back and watch that about color calibration. So Tim was on, and then obviously learning a little bit more about the papers.
Their website as well. They've got a lot of really good content and
so
jargon
good
busting.
And their YouTubes and stuff like that. So you can check that out. Fotospeed.co.uk, I think it is. Yeah, fotospeed.com, I think it is. Yeah. So you can check those out. Or generally just do what most people do, Google Photospeed.
Other search engines are available.
Yep, I should always say that. Thank you very much for everyone commenting live. I've actually noticed a comment from Dibs there, which is very nice,
isn't it? Given
the
fact that we're going to speak to him.
Yes, indeed. So later on today, we have Andy coming in from Peak. He'll be showing some of the bags, the new tripod that everyone's been talking about.
Warning alert. I love a good Peak bag.
Yeah. You have been looking forward to just talking about Peak. So Joel's going to be very happy at 3:00. And then later on this evening, we've got Dibs coming in, talking about his journey through photography and how it sort of affected his life in sort of various different ways. I know when we were super interesting, and I know when we were talking, setting up the things, like the journey that he's gone through and how it's done that full circle onto how it affects sort of his photography and stuff is brilliant. So that's going to be a super interesting interview that we're going to be doing with Dibs as well. So make sure that you check that out at 7 p.m. today. For all the other videos that we've done for the winter show, you can visit our website, which is cambrianphoto.co.uk. Hit the speakers list. You'll be able to see all the live videos that we've done in the past, which are available for rewatching. And you can also schedule all of the live videos so you get a reminder of when the video goes live.
It's going to be good.
It's going to be awesome.
Only a few more days left, April.
We're not halfway through yet, but it's, we say like a bad thing. So no, we are actually enjoying this. Yeah. So
just Paul's not used to talking to people this much.
That's very true. Normally watching Netflix and stuff.
Pretending to do work. Right, well, we'll see you later.
We'll see you later on, everyone. Bye-bye.